So, welcome back to the Boundaries and Brotherhood Show with your host, Gordon Wat. And
I'm Dr. Keith Faircloth. Welcome back,
we're,
everybody.
but today's topic, guys, is going to be a really, really doozy one because it's like, I just had a talk with Doc about this, about how the illusion of external happiness, even with what's going on in the world today, with everything that happened last week, who's responsible for your happiness? Is it your wife? Is it your kids? Is it your therapist? Is it external validation? Is it external sources? Right? I'm going to get set up while Doc gives us the gameplay. He's calling an audible.
I think I'll be in pretty good control this week.
I like it when
So,
you go, because that's what I do too. That's a beautiful thing, my brother, because it's passion.
yes.
Tell them what we're going to be talking about, and I'll get this all set up on my end.
So I'll say, I think a lot of times in this world, we think that other people are responsible for our happiness. We think our spouse is responsible, our significant other, our friends. We think other people are responsible for our happiness. And ultimately, that's just not the case. And so what ends up happening is we have this idea that if someone doesn't make me happy, I don't want to be with them. And we're not talking about strictly relationships today, but, I'll just use this as an example. How many times have we been in relationships where we don't feel like we get along, or they don't make me happy, or we start saying things like that. You should be doing things to try to make me happy and all these things. I know one of the famous things is you need to be my peace and all those things like that. We outsource our own happiness to other people and other places, and then we wonder why we're never happy.
Right.
And that's because it's not anybody else's responsibility but our own. Ultimately, you're outsourcing your happiness. You're not taking responsibility for it. And as a result, we end up miserable. We don't have to be. We end up miserable unnecessarily.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be talking today about a little bit more about that. And if you are in that situation where you're expecting everybody else to make you happy, we're going to teach you how to get out of that as well.
Right. I'll give you a situation. If you've been going through a lot of our content, a lot of our shows, a lot of our thing, we talk about confidence, getting over anxiety, self-doubt, but it all leads into what are you going to be becoming when you want to become happy with yourself. This is why a lot of people turn to drugs, external validation, money, trying to find, like Doc just said, you're looking for a missing piece when the missing piece has always been you. The missing piece is controlled and by you, but it's up to you to realize certain things that might not be in that phase of life, right? You might be able to figure out sooner than later if you understand that you've been going through all these messes all your life and getting the same freaking result, right? And then what happens, you keep trying to find date, like Doc said a few weeks ago, you jumping from bed to bed, trying to find that one piece when actually the piece that you've been missing is putting yourself back together. Figuring it out on your own, figuring out that there's a way to do it so you can be fulfilled in your situation with what you got. And basically, what I would say, handling the trauma you had from your childhood, because that's where a lot of it stems from, right? A lot of it stems from trauma that you've dealt with that just exponentiates by the time you get to an adult. And that's where we're going to be talking to Doc about that, because a lot of times people blame other people for their happiness and unhappiness. Can you elaborate more on that, Doc, from a professional side?
When I do relationship work, one of the issues that I find is that when we communicate, we always say, you do this, you do that, you don't do this, you don't do that. And I want to extrapolate that to other areas of our life as well, outside of a relationship, right? Where we blame other people, when things go wrong, or we blame other things, or we blame the government, we blame this, we blame that. As a matter of fact, we spend so much time blaming everybody else, we give our power away. And that's what ends up happening when you do that. You end up giving your power away to make yourself happy, because now you're waiting for everybody else and everything else to change before you can do that. The fact of the matter is, like Gordon, like you said, it's not anyone else's responsibility but your own. You'll never be happy. You're chasing a finish line or a goal that it's unattainable. It is impossible for someone else to make you happy. Now, can people do things that we enjoy? Of course.
The difference.
Yeah. And let me also just take a stop real quick and express, what the emotion of being happy is. The emotion of being happy is a signal from your brain that we like what's going on. We want to do more of it. That's what that means, right? So when you think about that in those terms, If it's about, I like what's going on and I want to do more of it, right? Then, we have to look at it and say, okay, well, what is that thing that's making me happy? And how am I contributing to this? Right? Because you could go and hang around friends and be a lump on a log, right?
Right.
Oh, well, they're not getting hype or excited. So, that's boring. No, why are you waiting for someone else to have a good time? You can have a good time. I remember I was watching this video one time about this guy. I was at some music festival. This guy was dancing by himself for a while. Then, like, one person joined him. Then a few more people joined him. And before it was all said and done, it was this massive dance party. He just wanted to have fun, so he started having fun. He wasn't waiting on anybody else to do that. He was already having fun. And so with that being said, putting all that together, that kind of draws people to you, right? I know the Bible says basically, if you want friends, be friendly. So I kind of extrapolated to this as well. If you want people to be happy around you, you want to have a good time, be the good time. God, he said, be the change which you see in the world.
Absolutely.
It's in your power to be happy. It's within your power to be positive. It's in your power to enjoy whatever you're doing, regardless of what it is. You have the power to switch your perspective so that you could actually be happy pretty much wherever you are. If not happy, at least content with wherever you are.
And that's a whole big thing, because that's what this channel is about, is to get you from a point where you might not be okay with yourself to a place where you want to be. This is why we have Carrie on here. This is why we have Doc in here. This is why we have some other guests coming here. This is why we have people that want to get you to a position, even in business. If you get to a spot where you want to be and you can make other people happy and you push everybody up, this is what the life, not the hatred thing goes on, because by the power of acknowledging your emotional responses for what you got going on, you can also change it. Because at the end of the day, guys, what the channel is about is to get you to a place where you not being stuck. Because we both been there. Carrie has been there at the bottom. Doc has been there in situations where you think like, what the frick is going on? And how am I going to get out of it? The bottom line is figuring out a way so that you understand that you always have the keys. And this is what I tell people. The most important thing in this world right now is not time. It goes deeper than that. It's the attention. With all the noise on social media, with all the noise on the news, how it's going to affect you, your family, your situation, even your businesses, even your mindset. But at the end of the day, who makes you happy? You have to own that crap regardless of what it is, how you figure it out. But it all has to do with what, Doc? Dealing with the past trauma and figuring out a way from getting point A to point B in the shortest amount of time. What's the difference between circumstances and an emotional state?
Circumstance is something that happens to you. An emotional state is whatever state how you decide how you want to feel.
Okay.
Right? Believe it or not, when you feel a certain way, that's a choice that you've made, either consciously or subconsciously.
Beautiful.
Circumstances have no value outside of what you give it. Our circumstances are completely and totally objective.
Objective is the word.
It is what it is. So if someone were to pass away, that's neither sad nor happy. It just is, objectively speaking. We, on the other side, through our emotions, through our experiences, through our values, add meaning to these different events. This is why if a close family member of ours passes away, we completely break down and we're sad. But we hear about people getting killed in some other place or dying in some other place, you have an emotional reaction. Life was lost, but we added the value to it. And so how this works when it comes to like being happy, and this is what I was talking about before, like you have a choice in that. See, you could choose to be bored. Oh my gosh, like how many meetings have we been in? It's like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. That's a choice you made. You chose to say that this is nothing to do with me. You chose not to get anything from it. You chose not to engage. And so you chose that emotional state of boredom. That's actually a big thing when it comes to like Tony Robbins and some of his events. He talks about being in peak state. And he talks about emotions and putting yourself in. I'm not going to bite off his material, but just a point of reference is that, in learning from him, it was like, yeah, we actually can control our state, but we already kind of know that. Whenever something bad happens and you go and start listening to sad music, you're putting yourself in a sad state. You want to get really hype and excited. You put certain music on, you start jumping up and down, you start moving your body in a certain way to put yourself in an energetic state. In sports, when you have someone yelling at you or cussing at you, their job is to get you into an angry state because that's where power is. So we kind of know about this being in a certain emotional state. It's just a matter of learning how to put ourselves in that state. And so when it comes to being happy, you can literally put yourself in a state where you're happy. You don't have to stay in whatever state you're in.
Correct, correct. Now, let me
Yeah.
ask you this question, though, right? Now, when you refer to Anthony Robbins as being in that, what do you call that? In that state,
Yeah.
what is your interpretation of it from your professional Dr. Faircloth state of mind?
It's essentially just invoking a certain emotion, essentially, right? And we don't have time to go into it today, but obviously it doesn't have to be just one emotion at a time. I mean, think of it like this. Think of like you're in the command center of your brain and you for certain buttons produce certain things in your body.
Right.
Certain combinations of buttons, like a piano, certain combinations make beautiful music. Certain combinations make horrible music. So it's kind of the same thing with our emotional state, right? And one of the things he talks about peak state, what he will have people invoke is like being happy, being joyful, peace, contentment, energy. He'll do that. He'll combine all those like a beautiful chord on a piano. And so that puts your mind in a certain state, and you'll move your body in a certain way as well. But that'll put your mind in a certain state where it's like, I'm really, really good. Now, however, you ever have been around and had something bad happen, and then you start flicking the wrong buttons, right? Anger, frustration, loneliness. You start putting some deeper chords on there, and now you wonder why, and you're thinking about this person or thing, and now you this disgust, this hate, this anger, like it starts even starts poisoning your body, right? After a while.
Oh, absolutely.
But you're putting yourself in that state because you're taking that situation, that circumstance, you're giving it a whole new meaning, and you're flicking those switches, and you're allowing it to replay over and over and over again. Well, I'll just stop that. But essentially, you put yourself in a really bad space. Right. I don't want to give no one any ideas or whatnot, but
Right.
you have really ill intent towards someone as a result. Same thing with anxiety. You put yourself in that state because essentially that's supposed to be a warning system, right? But then what ends up happening is because you don't handle that properly, you put the anxiety switch, you put that bad boy up to 10, and now you're freaking out. You're literally putting yourself in that state because if you just look at it like, okay, am I prepared or not prepared? If I'm not prepared, time to prepare. If I am prepared, nothing to worry about, right? But we don't do that. We're just like, oh my gosh, this thing is coming up. And then it's like, crank that bad boy up to 10. And so now we're having panic attacks. Now we can't operate. Now we can't function. So essentially, honestly, it's the same thing for being happy as well. But what happens with being happy, you got to make sure you're in a place where you can actually be grateful and have gratitude for all these things in life, right? Because you can't be happy with a negative mindset. You cannot be happy if you always look at things in a bad light. You will always be miserable, and you'll always need other people to pull you out of that.
Right. And now, is it like hey, what's up, George? Jonathan, I have people from my past that's even jumping on here. I just want to say welcome back to. I mean, if you want to leave me a comment on our YouTube page, that'd be really, really cool because these guys been through the battles with me, and we all came out on a different end. And it all came down to certain things, dealing with our trauma. Even like for me, when my friend George Duran right here, he been locked up with me, right? I went to him. He's seen, when we did a program, and he's seen my metamorphosis, even where I didn't think as deep as I do now. Because once I came out of my college, my prison days, or whatever you want to call it, right? We had to deal with certain things. And if we didn't deal with our trauma back then in that program or whatever it is, how would I deal with it here? And the people that faked the program for themselves, guess where they went back, Doc? They went right back inside, catching another 10, 20 years. And then when I look at that, I'm thinking like, I'm so glad I did that because the reason why we all got in there, external validation, not dealing with our trauma, not keeping ourselves happy, thinking us dealing dope, gangs, drugs, money, all this other good stuff would make us happy. And when at the end of the day, it really didn't. All it did was put a patch on it, like a Band-Aid. Another example. How does one change? Give us some pillars on how to change if you're in that situation.
First thing you got to do is make sure that you have a positive mindset and a growth mindset. That's critical. If you don't have a positive mindset, if you don't have a growth mindset, it's going to be really difficult for you to pull yourself out of that. Change how you think and change how you feel, because you're going to think like you're a victim of circumstance. You're going to think that it's everybody else's responsibility to make me happy and to control my emotions. It's up to us. You have to make sure that you have a positive mindset. You have to make sure you're finding the good in every situation. You have to make sure that you're having gratitude and appreciation for every situation. That's got to be the foundation of it altogether. Because the thing is, how can you truly be happy if you're not able to identify all the good that's going on in your life? If you're just waiting, because happy comes from, or I guess, I don't know if it's happy comes from happiness or happiness comes from happy, but it's something going on. Usually there's something that's going on. But if you're not looking for the things that are going on, if you're only looking for what's happening, I think that's what it is. I think happy comes from happening or happening.
Okay.
If you're not finding the good in these situations, if you have to wait for something super big and magnificent to happen before you're happy, it's gonna be really rare you're gonna be happy, right?
True.
You go to Disney once or twice. Let's just use it as an example. Let's say Disney is what makes you just so happy, right? But Disney's expensive, especially if you have like a big family.
Oh, if you have a family, I mean,
And if you don't live nearby, you're talking about flights and hotels and all these things like that. That could rack up a huge bill. Does that mean you can only be happy that one time a year? Is that the only good thing that's happening in your life that you could be happy about? Too often we're looking for these big, massive, grand events for us to be happy, when you could be happy just being alive. You could be happy just seeing your family. You could be happy. Some people haven't done that. I have some clients that have lost family members. They can't see them anymore.
Because, talk about,
so
that.
Well, I mean, I was just saying, as far as that's concerned, right? Like, basically there's things we can be happy about right now. Taking advantage of the moment, right? Having a relationship with our family members and things of that nature, instead of looking at trying to find something outside of ourselves. It has to be this big, massive vacation. And nothing against vacations and things like that. But the point I'm trying to make is there's things around us that can make us happy all the time. You could look at your children and be happy. Look at your wife and be happy. You could be just chopping it up with a family member and be happy. You could be walking down the street and just waving to people and be happy. These things cost no money. And these things are more valuable than a trip to Disney and all these things like that. You could be happy that you have a job. You could be happy that you can pay the bills. You could be happy that you have a roof over your head. Right. So being able to identify all these things in our life that can make us happy, that's where the gratitude comes in, by being able to point these things out and be in a place of gratitude and appreciation. So that's when it comes to, as far as like being happy, that's why it's so important, to be able to do that. And then I brought up the people losing family members and things like that, because what I'm saying is they're not going to see those people, anymore.
Right.
But so making sure you take it in time with the people we love around us, right? That time with somebody is going to be worth way more. The things that can make us really, really happy are really all around us already. It's just, how are we looking at it? How are we viewing it? And are we appreciating it for what it actually is, as opposed to, well, it has to be some big grand event. If I'm not going to a worldwide trip that costs thousands and thousands of dollars, I'm just not going to be happy. We got to change that and recognize we can be happy with all the things we have going on in life right now.
No, absolutely. You hit it right on the head, because you have to appreciate a lot of these things. You might have a person that just came out of prison, right? When you come out of prison and you get released, the air smells better. You've been breathing the same air for the 10, 15 years. The air smells better. And to have that mindset in you, to have it, it's like, for me, when nobody appreciates the small things that understand a lot of the things that's going on in life right now, because a lot to appreciate and a lot to be different about it. Some people, so I just got asked this the other day, Gordon, in fact, one of my guys from Hawaii came visit. So he's like, you got to be really creative on what I do with my kids nowadays, because they see me. It's like, you get really creative. I said, because they make me feel good about myself because of what I've been through. I can watch them play because I know one day it's going to end. I know one day they're going to be like, Dad, they're going to want to play with their friends. I'm going to be kicked to the curb. I'm not going to get no hugs no more and all that stuff. But then when you sit and you don't appreciate these things and you take it for granted, that's when you go astray. It's like, you might be going through the worst thing in your life right now, but that could be also somebody else's dream to be in your situation, right? So when I look at people, even when I was working out the hotels and stuff, I always like to know what's their story, right? Because it makes me dig deep and dig research. So like this way, I don't have like an ill feeling towards them, because what if they're just having a bad day? What if they're going through something that all they need is hey, I got you. Everybody has bad days. I have bad days. You know what I mean? We all human. We have situations. But if I appreciate the good more than the bad, I can change that state and challenge those thoughts to rephrase. It's the same like business. You know, after going through, you just went to Tony Robbins one. I just did another one the other day where it's like, I've been doing it all my life, rephrasing it so it works to my advantage, even in sales. Because a lot of times most people won't see that because they're greedy. They might be greedy with their time, even their appreciation tokens or gratitude tokens. The more gratitude tokens I can put in myself to make me feel better, the more redemption I have when I got to go see the man up above. Because I have a lot to redeem, a lot of redemption to do.
No, go ahead.
No, so what would be a blueprint for, say, eternal joy?
I would say making sure you're grateful at all times. Making sure you're grateful at all times. Make sure you have compassion at all times, and giving grace and mercy at all times, right? You know, joy is a little bit different than happiness, right? Again, happiness is about what's happening. I feel a little bit bored. Let me play a game. Let me watch a movie. Let me spend time with my family. Go do something. Go work out. Whatever. You have to change to be happy. You have to change what's happening to something that we're enjoying. So that's what it is about being happy. Joy is like a constant state of just being good, right? You know, it's not about what's happening. It's not changing. Like, it's like contentment on a whole nother level. It's nothing else to happen or take place for me to be good right now. You know, there have been times when my family was out of town or something like that, or I was by myself. And now, obviously, let me also preface this. This is not saying that I had joy because my family was gone. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when all the external stimuli was gone, there was no external stimulus, I was still absolutely good. Like I felt good. I felt good about myself. Felt good about others, felt good about the world. Like it just felt good. Like I was just content. I didn't need anything or anyone else to be content in that moment. And that's has a lot to do with peace, right? There's no storms. There's struggles. Everything is good, right? Not even that there's no struggles, because you could have joy and still have things not going right in your life.
Absolutely, of course.
Yeah. Again, it's about how am I viewing it?
True. You know, 100%.
You know, that's what it boils down to. So joy is when it's like, there's nothing that can take me down off of this. It doesn't matter what's going on, no matter how, I just feel good. A lot of times having that joy, I'll be honest, like you can have it in the world, but I think it's a lot easier to have it when you're having a relationship with God, because there's a eternal, like it's eternal, like I got you, like don't worry about nothing. And so then you stop worrying about anything and you just feel good. You start going through life, again, mixing this with gratitude. You appreciate all the little things and you don't allow any type of negative thinking to take hold at all. You're just in a complete state of being content and being good. And that's kind of the state of being in, having like joy.
Now, knowing all of that, what you just said about joy, happiness, being content, not being over content with struggles that you have going on, because struggles is just part of life. How does those pillars that you just said enhance part of being a masculine man in this society now? Because it leads up to what's going on in the world, right?
Yeah.
How does that work now?
All right. How do I put this? How do you be content now? I'll be honest. I know you said, it doesn't matter what side you're on, but and I'll just be straight up with the whole Charlie Kirk thing. If you're on the side that celebrates him dying, you're not going to be content. You're not going to be happy. You're looking for reasons to be unhappy.
Perfect scenario.
So you're not going to be happy in that state at all, because you're taking a circumstance. And again, we talked about those switches.
The circumstance.
So now if your circumstance is bitterness and hate, in anger and rage and frustration, you'll never be content. You'll never be happy. So
now flip that around.
Remove the situation. You could be in a marriage and you could be thinking it's hell.
Beautiful.
You could be on the job, and because they're not making you happy, you play those bad chords, right? They're not doing enough for me. My kids aren't listening. You play these chords. You will never be happy. You'll never be content. You'll never have joy. Here's the danger of keeping that mind state. those unpleasant emotions, they're not designed to be going on for a long time, right? They're designed to
Right.
be processed, get the message, fix it, and keep moving forward. But when you stay in that mode, what ends up happening is you end up releasing certain neurotransmitters and hormones that devastate your body, that increase inflammation, that increase cortisol, all of these things that rev your body up, and they put you in a state that's easy for you to get diseases. And you
Ooh,
wonder why you're getting
health
diabetes. You
reason,
wonder why
physical
you're
health.
getting heart
Yep.
disease. You wonder why your cancers are popping up, because all those those unpleasant emotions you're completely trigger all the time. They that's what happens when they stay in your system. You're
Yeah.
damaging your system, and you're not doing anything. But so you keep thinking, and then when you get sick, then you blame, oh, I blame God. And you shake your fist, and you miss my mom. And you just stay in this negative loop, and you're never ever happy. So it's impossible for people who think like that constantly to hold on to resentment, to hold on to contempt, and to hold on to hate. It's impossible for them to ever be happy. And then they end up becoming the engines of their own destruction, in
Right.
one way, either mentally or physically, and a lot of
True.
times both. But then there's the other side where there's gratitude, where there's gratefulness, where there's being
That's it.
open-minded, right? Like in there, you're looking at the good, you're trying to find the good in every situation. Now it's the complete opposite, right? You're gonna have peace, you're gonna have joy, you're gonna have better relationships, you're gonna have more fun, you're gonna be happy, and all these things are within your control. And this is again away from the situation in every aspect of your life. I always tell people this story about the man that had the two sons, the one that had that positive mindset, and the one that had a negative mindset. And then the one that had the positive mindset had all these toys, and the one that had the negative mindset didn't have any toys. And so he took the son that had the negative mindset, put him in a room with a whole bunch of toys, and then took the boy who was happy all the time and put him in a room full of manure. And so in the father, he's like, well, they're guaranteed to change, right? And so he went to check on the boy that was in the room with all the toys, the negative mindset, and the toys weren't good enough,
Yep.
right? All the toys that
Exactly.
he had and the abundance, it wasn't good enough. He was still unhappy. And then he went to the boy who's in the room with all the manure and then with the shovel, and he saw him shoveling like crazy. And he went to go check with the boy. It's like, what are you doing? And the boy said, with all this manure in here, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere, or a horse in here somewhere. The point I'm trying to make is that the circumstance didn't matter. What mattered was, okay, what's my mindset in this situation? How can I find the good in this situation? How can I make this better? And if you have that mindset, you're always going to be able to be happy, no matter where you are, what you're doing, because
Yes.
I'm always looking for the good. It's within my control. But otherwise, though, if you're putting it into everyone else's hands, if you have a victim mentality, I feel sorry for you.
I mean, just like some of my guys, I got another guy's chops from Lompoc out there. We've been doing, even my friend right here, Louis Auto Glass. If you need auto glass needs, Fresno area, hit him up, guys, because these guys have the positive mindset. They've been through the ringer. Because like anybody that looks at their relationships, look at their situation with what they got going on, even with their kids, even if they're in the dating scene, if you still play the victim mentality, the woe's me, that mindset is gonna stay the same. And you're always gonna get the same freaking results because they're not good enough, oh, this and that. Like Doc just said, right? It all comes down to who creates your own happiness, right? When you have all these pillars that you can be happy with yourself, content with yourself, and move on, when God throws that lightning bolt or throws that curveball in life, instead of you going, that mother, and I'm over here thinking like me, I'm like, what a sense of humor you got. Then I figure out a solution, right? Because it's going to happen every single time, no matter what it is. The only thing that stays the same, that's constant, is how you deal with the problems, how you figure out your mindset, how you shift, how you be objective to it all, how you figure out that it can change, like you said, because if you don't change emotionally, spiritually, stuff, it affects you physically, right? Like Doc said, and it's a real thing. It's been tested, even down to the vibrations in your fluids in your body. It's been tested, proven, and all that good.
Yeah.
How does it work in relationships?
Being happy in a relationship, again, it is highly dependent upon what you're doing for yourself, right? It's not the other person's responsibility. Now, this is not to say that other people can't make us happy, right? You know, my wife, and I don't got the camera on, you guys can't see it, but like I'm surrounded by Legos. Most of them I bought, but my wife bought me some other ones.
Now, tell me how big. The Death Star big, the big ones.
They're pretty, I would say, I mean, it's hard to put it on camera, right? But like,
No way.
yeah, it's
Do you glue 'em?
it's probably bigger than that. Yeah.
Do you glue 'em?
No. I haven't.
Oh, okay.
That ain't
I thought you wouldn't do that.
No,
Glue.
gosh, no, man, no. I don't think there's one that I haven't done and made a mistake on. I had to go back and fix every single one. If I was gluing them, that was game over, man. That would have been the absolute worst. What I'm trying to make is like my wife, she got me Legos like for Father's Day and for my birthday.
Nice.
I love it. But does that mean like I'm not gonna be happy unless she's buying me Legos all the time?
No.
No, that's unreasonable, right? So can other people do things to make us happy, like in a relationship? Yes. And we want to do that. But we just don't want to be the number one source. Like it's my responsibility to make you happy. That's where the problem comes into play. It's no one's responsibility to make us happy except for us, right? It is our own responsibility to make ourselves happy, plain and simple. So by taking that responsibility off of our partner, it takes the stress off the relationship, allows it to go more freely, and you can be happy regardless of whether your partner's showing up or not. Now, yes, you could ultimately, what I'm saying is you could take that pressure off of your partner and off of others really by you just being happy yourself. And the crazy part is like when you're happy, it radiates outwards.
Yep.
Like I gave you that example about the guy that was dancing. He was dancing all by himself. It radiated outwards and it drew other people in. There's some people want to be around positive people. They just do. They want to be around happy people. They want to be around people who are smiling. They want to be around people who walk with their chest up. They want to be around people who are laughing and joking. They want to be around people who aren't taking every single thing seriously, right?
Serious, yep.
Like that's who people want to be around. We don't want to be with someone who's so uptight, like, oh, I can't believe you said that. Oh, you hurt my feelings. Oh, my whole day is ruined. Like no one wants to be around someone like that. Like, bro, man, like they see you coming. It ends up being like this. People start seeing you coming and you're unhappy, you're miserable. You have a mindset. You don't want to be around them. They don't want to take your calls. This is what happens.
I know.
I saw someone coming. It's like, oh gosh.
Like you'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah. Or that person will be going and we're just bringing everything down. Nothing's good. Yeah, no, everything's just so horrible. Life is just bad. And I'm not talking about like we got something going on. We're talking to someone about it. It's like, hey, I'm going through it. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, you're at your kid's birthday party and all you're talking about is all the worst thing in the world that's happening to you. It's like, bro, I'm looking for an echo chamber where everyone can just get around and just be negative. Like misery loves company. No one wants to be around people like that. We want to be around people who are happy, right? Because it radiates. And sometimes just being around someone else who's happy reminds us that, oh shoot, we can be happy too.
Yes. Nice.
Like think about when you have little kids. Was it 5 and 3, right?
Yeah, 5 and 3.
Oh man. Real quick before we end, because I know we got to wrap it up. But what is it like when your kids are just happy for no reason? For you, when you see them, they're just happy for no reason. Loud, making noise, running around. What does it do for you though? You see that, and what does that do for you?
It makes me feel like I succeeded in life. Because the whole purpose of having redemption, having second chance from my past gives me joy that anybody else can do it. The thing is, when you see them crying, fighting, playing, happy, squeezing, hugging, tickling, all that good stuff that happens right now, it knows that that's when you know you've made it. Besides the monetary value, because monetary don't mean shit. I already been there. Sometimes I miss the power of what I used to have before. But when you compare the both, it's two different feelings. It's two different things. One comes with baggage, one doesn't. One is pure. One is pure to that you can't even compare it with any type of power, monetary respect, this and that. Two different planes. What it does for me is knowing that little piece of your heart that you might still have can still grow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that, to me, makes you rich. This is why they say, okay, right, Andrea might tell me, you got to get out of the house, you got to do something. But I'm at peace. I'm at peace, baby. You can say it like that. But at the same time, because say you go out and I put myself in a situation where I might have to hurt somebody. I don't want to do that because I got too much to answer for, too much risk, too much consequence. Yeah. The time of taking chances is gone. But it's still in me. That's the thing. When it's come to something that's important and stuff, this is where the confidence the wisdom, say the suave part of it can come out. But until then, I keep putting pieces back on my heart with my family because that's what it's supposed to be. Even according to the Bible, like you say. Was that good for you?
That works, man. So I'm guessing like when you see your kids though, like you see them, it makes you happy to see them being happy. And just like how that radiates off of them. Like they didn't do anything for you. They didn't buy you a yacht or take you to Disney or pay off the house. They didn't do any of that. All they did was just be themselves. And that made you happy. And so like that's what people want to be around, right? It doesn't have to be happiness doesn't have to be, or what's happening doesn't have to be some big grand thing. It could be just a great conversation. It could be just spending time with someone. It could be being around someone who's always happy. Sometimes that's enough. If you're struggling with being happy, if you're struggling with being content with life, if you have that victim mentality, if you're always playing the wrong chord, living in misery, living in fear, living in anger and hate and resentment, you can't be the 11th man like that.
Absolutely
The 11th
not.
man doesn't operate that way. The 11th man doesn't move that way. They don't play those negative chords like that. They don't stay there. The 11th man is happy. He has joy. He has peace. He has love. He has connection. He feels accepted. Like this is what the 11th man has. And so if you need help with that, if you find yourself in a state where you're just not happy, you're not happy where our life is going, we didn't even get a chance. So we could actually even do a part 2 on this about purpose, because,
Mention. I'll write that down.
Because if, one of the difficult parts of life, it's like, okay, well, Keith, Gordon, yeah, I got all that and I'm grateful and everything like that, but I still feel like I'm floating through life. Because I've worked with some people who feel like I don't know my purpose. I don't know what I'm here. And so they're struggling as far as that's concerned. So they appreciate the things that are going on, but they're looking for something more, something greater, right? And so that diving into your purpose, because once you know your purpose, you're going to have an unlimited source of happiness for the rest of your life, right?
And
You don't
that's
even
what
have
you
to make it up. So we're going to say
It doesn't have to be fabricated.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to end with that one because we're going to do that. Stay tuned to next week to find purpose. Guys, if you need coaching help, if you need professional, scan that code right behind Doc right there. Pause it. Join the school community. We have a school community with all our PDFs. And we're going to be having coaching calls soon to have retreats next year. We're building that up right now.
Yeah.
For the past 7 months, we created this content. We created this audience. Leave us a comment on our YouTube channel. Browse around on the playlist. Between Carrie, Doc, myself, we have an infinite amount of knowledge that went from the bottom to the top where you can grasp finding purpose. If you're looking for much more than you have in your life right now, this is a channel, right? Now, Doc, how can we just blow through time like this? We're going to have to make like 5 different shows, I think. So, but guys, we're going to end with this. If you want to, please leave us a comment on our YouTube channel, right? There was a comment about one of Carrie's posts. Doc was so good. She goes like, a lot of men should be listening to this woman right here because she gave a feminine viewpoint in a man's world. I was like, ooh, this was good. It was like such a good post. I was like, oh, this is deep. Reach out, guys.
Yeah.
Doc, end the show, please.
All right, guys. This is Gordon and Keith. We'll be back next week. Remember, you guys can be the 11th man, and it's time that we all step into that. So, you guys take care, and we'll see y'all next week.
Aloha, guys.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next week and watch some of our other jaw-dropping content. Make sure to subscribe.